Mm-hmm. All set, Cable.
All right, have a good meeting.
I have to press continue.
Oh,
All right. We good?
yep.
Being 6:05 on March 23rd, 2021, this being the meeting of the Sutton Historic Commission. Prior to the beginning of the meeting, I need to read a legal statement. Due to the current COVID-19 crisis pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, this meeting of the Historic Commission is being held remotely via Zoom. And to join this meeting, you need to visit www.zoom.us/join and enter the meeting ID number 862-8779-1559, and then enter a passcode of 551307. The meeting will be broadcast and recorded on local public access station Verizon 31 or Charter/Spectrum 191, and live streamed on the town's YouTube channel when available. And pursuant to Mass General Law 30A, Section 20, no person shall address the public meeting body without the permission of the chair. Individuals who would like to participate should state their name and address after being recognized by the chairperson. In an effort to ensure transparency to our viewers at home, the chat function will not be available. All right, how'd I do? That's all right. Put that, file that away. Hi, everybody. How are
Hi
you?
there.
I can't see everyone. Oh. Hi,
Yeah.
Walt.
We couldn't see Wally earlier. He's
Yeah.
back on now.
Yeah.
Okay, before we
Ew.
open up the meeting with the agenda, which would be number one, approval of minutes. There's a few members that can't vote on that because they weren't present, and I don't think I have the members present to vote on that. That would only be myself and Rochelle.
Was this last meeting?
So this would be November 26th of 2019. It
Oh.
took us that long to get minutes from our prior clerk. He's very busy, very educated military guy, you know. So we'll hold off on that. I'm gonna say hold off on the vote. Hold vote on, I have to clerk tonight too. Our clerk is absent and was unavailable to attend. November 26th. I should have just asked Chris to do them. How you doing, Chris? All right?
Good, Keith, thank you.
How are your legs? All right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna hold off on the vote of the minutes. I'll put those aside. Now, prior to the vote on the February 24th, 2021 minutes, I'd like to introduce a new position for Wally Baker. He is now the official correspondence transporter for the commission.
What is that?
Because you go to the town hall, because I can't go during the day. I work every
Okay,
day.
yeah,
Pick
all
up the
right.
mail. So I appreciate that, buddy. Just wanted to recognize you.
Oh, dear gosh.
Okay, so hold vote. Let's, if you guys have viewed the minutes from the February 24th meeting, very copious by our new clerk.
Mm.
And everyone present has the ability to vote on these minutes as a yay or a nay in agreement on the minutes. Has everyone read them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to do a roll call vote according to the remote law on voting in these meetings. So I'll start how my camera is displayed. And the first one would be minutes for, let me just write this, 2/24/21. Okay, Rochelle, yay or nay on voting on those minutes as written?
Yay.
Okay, and then there would be Wally,
Yay.
and then Donna,
Yes, A,
Yay.
yay, okay.
And Chris?
Yay.
Okay, so all 4 members have voted yes, including myself, which would make a 5-member yay. Member, yes. Okay, so those are approved. I will sign them in the presence of the members. Today, 23rd?
Yes,
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, that's official. Just make sure I get it here. Sign. Outstanding. Okay. Approval of minutes on agenda number 1 is completed. Numbers 2 and 3 having no public forum or public hearing, and any members of the public present, we will carry on to number 4, which is board business and open discussion. So I have a couple quickies. The annual report for 2020, after discussions with the town clerk and not having our prior clerk, and we only held officially one meeting, I believe, in that period. It was the November. We didn't do December, and we had January. We may have done February, but there was nothing really on the thing. It was decided that we didn't submit an annual report, and that was agreed on with the clerk, town clerk. So there was no report, but when Mark Brown returns, we'll have him keep all these minutes together so that we can compile a report for 2021. Okay? Any comments, any feedback? All right.
can you,
Excellent.
yes. Can you make a copy of these minutes when
Okay,
they're
we lost
approved?
you in fuzzy land.
Can you make a copy of
I am
These-
internet.
these minutes when they are approved and send them to the Historic Commission in Boston? We're supposed to send them our annual
Okay,
meeting.
hold on one sec, because you broke up, and I just want to make sure, Mom, it's you with the mic there. Okay, all right, sorry about that. For some haunted reason, when you run out of microwave, we lose internet. I have no idea. So Donna, I missed your statement.
Okay, let me try one more time.
Sorry.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay. Can you make a copy of tonight's minutes with that statement when it's approved to Mass Historic Commission? We're supposed to submit our annual reports to them, so they'll know.
that we didn't have one. Yeah,
And plus, they need a new list of members.
they do. Yeah,
That's how they get that. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. I know they still have probably you and I in there at least, and maybe Wally. But I bet you're right. I'll write that down. Send out minutes to MHC for no annual. And update member info, correct?
Yeah, well, that would be on the
Mhm.
minutes anyway. So they really need to hear from us annually. Otherwise, they think we don't exist.
Nothing but nothing, but we kind of did in the last year, but that's okay.
Well, that was for a different reason. That was the pandemic.
All right, any other comments on not submitting an annual report for 2021? I mean, 2020, my mistake. Okay. The next thing I wanted to touch on real quick was that at our last meeting, we were talking about the responsibilities of the Historic Commission And there were some new members, and Donna was kind enough to dig up a document, which, Donna, I didn't send it to you because you sent it to me, but I did forward it to the members. And I know I received at least 2 positive feedbacks on that. So,
That's available on the Mass Historic Commission site,
okay,
website. If you should lose it or if you want to, which you probably wouldn't, request a hard copy.
yeah, because you can print what I sent you, what you sent.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's a very parochial,
basic, yeah.
document, but it's informative and it keeps you focused. Okay, any comment on that? All right. I love this commission. Okay, next thing I wanted to mention before we get into opening up to other members for board business open discussion. And my question's gonna be vague, but I think, Donna, you'll have a good grasp of probably where I'm going and maybe be able to answer it. My question is this: as the Historic Commission and our responsibilities in Sutton, what are the requirements and responsibilities, not only in historic structures that we're familiar with in colonial era, but what about pre-colonial era? Things like, we know, documented sites like Manchog with the Praying Village, or any.
Typically, that is not a historic commission duty. It doesn't mean they can't do it. That would be more the Historic Society in conjunction with the libraries.
Really?
If it's documents, yeah.
And so how do you get something documented? Meaning somebody comes and confirms a site, and then you tell like the society and the library, and they keep documents about it?
You're talking about a survey that we've done?
No, like the Praying Village of Manchog. Like, let's say they find some structure down there that they think is part of the original site.
And they want it to be reviewed?
Well,
somebody tried to remove Manchog from the map and just have everything as Sutton. And it had to be brought to the State House and it was reviewed. And the story I heard, they couldn't wipe the name of Manchog off the map type thing because
They have their own zip code.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know that. I know
So
that.
that's pretty impossible.
well, so let's focus on sites. So let's say
Yeah.
something crazy like you found a campsite that was, so somehow they can document by the structure. I'm just guessing, but somehow they can document it. Is there
Who's they?
let's say the Native Americans? I don't know, some expert in that. I'm not.
If it was Native Americans, you would definitely refer them straight to Mass Historic Commission.
Yeah.
If it's your next door neighbor and I'm not sure what you the
I just want to know what our responsibility is if something's found.
if something's found that we don't know about.
I'll give you a good example. Remember Dave LaValle had mentioned those rocks with bowls? Okay, could a bunch of kids done it in 1969?
I've been thinking about those myself lately.
Okay, so haven't I.
I think you should get a hold of Mass Historic
Okay.
because I think they were not properly removed from the project he was working on. If you're talking archaeological,
Yes.
you need to report it.
And then,
and I know you are.
so let's assume we're talking about an archaeological site and it's on a big rock that you can't move, and you call MHC. What is their process to get it like documented? Do they send someone else?
Yeah, they'll do an archaeological review, particularly if it's in a development project. The problem with archaeological sites is that they have to be anonymous,
Meaning,
meaning they can't be listed in, and you can say there might be archaeological stuff in a certain, in a broad area, which would be obvious because of the history of it.
mhm,
But you can't, like, we make a list of buildings and structures and
Right.
stuff and give addresses, and anybody can drive by and look at it. You can't do that with archaeological sites because they get robbed. So they can't be listed publicly anywhere.
okay. That's an excellent, and I appreciate that.
Mhm.
That's excellent information. With that said, Donna, if they recognize a site as archaeologically important, or whatever it may be, I don't know, but if they say it is there a process of protection if it's on a site that isn't gonna be developed? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yes, it needs to be listed, like, you know, the MHC needs to be notified,
Okay,
and they will, if it's an undisturbed site or a site that isn't going to be developed, they will have a record of it. And if a development site, if a development plan comes up and goes before them, they can stop the development to make an archaeological survey if they think it's important. Not permanently stop it, long enough to them to dig like they did in Boston for years.
yes, right, right.
What happened in Sutton when they were doing the 146 to make it the dual highway? Didn't they go in through some area they found to be an Indian burial site that they didn't know?
I haven't personally heard of an Indian burial site, but I would say pretty much most of 146 from stem to stern would be of archaeological interest.
Interesting. Okay,
You know, and there have been developments that have abused
Mhm.
those things in the past.
as you know, it's, if you don't know what you're looking at, it's unrecognizable, unlike a colonial structure.
Yes.
Right, unless you happen to be a surveyor.
Yeah, which is interesting. Now, with that said, how about if MHC's involved, do they notify, like around here, it would obviously be like the Nipmuc Nation or something?
I don't know. I don't know what their process with is, you know, but I do believe that the Historical Society needs to
Be aware.
contact, well, it's because it's in your museum where it's been sort of hidden away for a while, a long while. You should write to them and tell them the story of them and see what you need to do to proceed.
Okay. It was more like I don't want to like get asked and have no idea, because I have a feeling there'll be a lot of construction going on. It's always been
Yeah,
a thought in the back of my mind, because you hear of people with buckets of arrowheads and find tools, and
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
this stuff is around, and you know, I don't know, just something I wanted to prepare.
Well,
myself.
that's a little bit different than the artifacts that you know, an arrowhead is,
Right.
you know, but yeah, no, I think it's a good idea if in this Historical Society could certainly ask the commission to, on their behalf, to make the initial contact.
Okay. All right. All right. I mean, that's a lot. I'll be honest with you. We spoke a lot about it. And I was more intrigued in listening, so please don't expect copious notes on that.
No, you don't need to, as long as you guys,
I have a general idea.
yeah.
And that, okay,
You can just simply say we had a discussion on the issue.
okay, yeah, I might do that. And I appreciate that, Donna, because I figured you'd know that angle. Any comments from any other members on that subject? All right,
Would you get a hold of any of the Indian reservations in this area? I'm thinking of the one in Grafton, Anamisco.
yeah, that's
No,
a possibility.
no, you have to go through Mass Historic. They have an archaeological division, and it's not like, oh, let's go take them and give them back to the Indians down in Grafton.
No, I'm not making that type of statement. Not at all. That's not what I'm referring to. But with something like that being close by to us, and they used to have their office in the Sutton Plaza, that there's an access for people.
You need archaeologists to look at them. I
Okay,
mean, if you wanted to take them to a Native American archaeologist to get an opinion on them, that would be fine, but inevitably you have to go to the state.
Okay,
We had an example a couple of years ago. It doesn't go back this far, but it was on the Blackstone River by the Singing Dam. When they
Right,
were-
I remember that.
When
Yeah.
they were replacing the bridge, and I was involved either in historical or the planning, one of the two. And we brought it to the attention of the state. They had our trained archaeologists on site within 24 or 48 hours.
Yeah,
And that whole thing got totally replaced and put back to the way it should have been. It was originally. So again, that was like an emergency situation. And but it was taken care of immediately. And you'd be, except for maybe a few trees that aren't up on the canal bank there, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference today that there was ever a problem there.
and that's because it was a site work being completed by a funded state project.
Correct.
no, the way
Yeah.
the way it works is, and very often it doesn't work the way it should. Maybe they're better at it now, but any development that has to have any kind of mass or federal licensing, a curb cut, anything like that, should trigger a project notification form to Mass Historic Commission. And once they get that, they determine their review of how they want to proceed with preservation or any other issues.
Okay, can I expand another on that, Donna, as a question?
Sure.
So with that said, twofold. Number one, if, let's just say there are significant archaeological pre-colonial sites in Sutton, as we
Mhm.
probably think there is, having those sites documented, will that help
Yes,
support our master plan in town to prevent development from expanding beyond what we have now? And B, I know, and B,
that's
does it
tricky.
apply to private properties?
Right, that's tricky. Now, that's something you have to first and foremost, this is funny because it's something I wanted to talk about anyway, because of the 146 development. First of all, you should work with local. You should make sure that project notification forms are filled out and sent to the state. And then the state should communicate with the Historic Commission,
Mhm.
asking an opinion or whatever. And they will go to our survey files, which anybody can look at, they're online. And they will go to those files, and in the more recent survey forms that we've done, and especially those done by professionals, will allude to areas that are thought to have archaeological significance, not to a specific place, but to an area.
Right.
You know, for example,
Manchester Lake.
all around Manchog Pond,
Right, okay. Mhm,
you know,
mhm.
but that's probably been, I'm sure anything metal has gone out of there that would be of interest. It's the first thing that happened across the street after the house came down was somebody was over there with a metal
Noticed that.
detector.
Yeah, I noticed that.
You know, so,
I drove by when that person was there.
well,
Okay.
I sit and watched him the whole time he was there out my living room window, but it's, you know, so,
Okay. I appreciate your knowledge in that, Donna, and it's more of a preparatory engagement so that, you know, I don't know. I think there's a lot going on around here personally. I don't
yeah,
have the education to be able to make that determination, but
no, you're not expected to. That's why you have to seek out the archaeological department at Mass Historic, because they have the people and the experts to make the determinations.
and they would be able to date anything like that if you,
If they thought it was significant enough to do a dig, which wouldn't that be fun? Just to go and watch. They would make a determination. It's not one person that would decide it at Mass Historic.
okay. All right. I think we beat that up pretty good tonight.
Yeah.
Any comments, any other members that would like to comment on that? Excellent. Just, again, I'll note, don't expect copious notes on that. It's a discussion. All right,
Yeah.
I hit everything that I wanted to hit on any open discussion. Let's start with the camera view that I see in my top left-hand corner is Rochelle. Is there any open discussion that you may have that you wanted to discuss tonight?
Nope, nope. Whatever else is going on, Life's Highway in town, that would be whatever we need to discuss as far as the historical part.
Okay, we'll get to that. How about you, Wally?
The only topic I would have would be the Burbank Road, Sibley Road situation. And we had a planning board meeting last night, and it did come up during the meeting that they're going to make a major development over in Millbury with
Yeah.
with the mill down there, and they're going to convert it into a housing project that could be 180 units. They're going to have the parking for 327 cars. And on the planning board, we've been quite concerned about traffic counts and people driving up, like as well as up Burbank Road. And a lot of people are now using that as a route to get from that area of town over
One
to.
moment, Wally, one moment. I just want to make sure, Chris, you're not from town. And where we're discussing is an intersection. It's a funny intersection of Burbank, Wheelock, and Sibley. There's an old yellow house with a big red barn there. It's
a National Historic Registered District.
that whole little area. A gentleman lives there and he's taking care of the property. So now you might be familiar with it, that I've described it. Okay. So you are familiar where I'm talking, correct? Okay, thank you, Wally. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to make.
No, that was good. I should have defined that. There are also like 20 or 30 sheep wandering around one of those fields. It's kind of interesting.
Probably more than that, 2 llamas too.
Yeah, the llama's keeping an eye out for the coyotes. In any event, we sent several letters over to the Millbury Planning Board expressing our concerns for traffic increase. And a lot of people are using this as a back route to get, instead of getting on 146 to go to the Market 32, they're coming up and going over that way. So unfortunately, either this, I guess it was the end of last week, they had their meeting in Millbury and they voted to approve the project. So that is going to go through. Jamie Moran pointed out there, I think, like 6 major accidents involving the stone walls there.
Yeah,
And within the last year, there has been signage put up on both Burbank Road and on Sibley Road on the Boston Road side. I think it's also on, yeah, it's on the other side too, where Wheelock and so forth, expressing you can't drive large vehicles up there, but a lot of people ignore it. I don't know another thing that makes it even, would say more interesting is, I guess, this is prior to my experiences here in Sutton. Several decades ago, there was some kind of a land dispute between the owner at that point in the town of Sutton, and went to court, and it was decided that the landowner, they won their rights, and that's why one reason why the walls are out so much in front of the house.
That goes way back. That is correct, right?
And I don't know exactly. I don't know the dates of this, but that certainly is, it's definitely a factor in anything you're going to do, anything that can be done. I don't know. It's a dangerous situation. Our public safety people are well aware of it. We kept them in the loop on this whole project, since it really is probably more in their bailiwick. And I did tell Mr. Moran I was going to bring it up here tonight. I don't have any solutions to this. I'm just putting it out there for general conversation. And I don't know what we can do. Donna, you know more about our legal rights than I do, certainly. Do we have any? I don't know how can we push this?
what do you suggest? I mean, this is the same issue I want to discuss with the development on 146. I went to the traffic impact meeting for that. I honestly, going into that, the construction development on 146, could find nothing really historically significant to comment on as far as the site. Especially since it's an overlay district for the Blackstone Valley. So there are already, they're not restrictions, but strong suggestions about what the building will look like and other things. So I personally don't have a concern there. But after I left that meeting, I had a huge pit in the bottom of my stomach, because the east-west route for all these trailer trucks, I don't remember how many now, and at least 138 times 3 shifts of employees a day, the east-west route is going to go right through our West Sutton National Registered District. And what do? I don't know what you do. Uxbridge was very concerned about the traffic. All of the towns around and were concerned about what the traffic, not only that it's traffic, it's semis, but I could not think of any way to address that issue from a historic standpoint. I did want to comment on one of the members of the planning board or who chuckled and said, turnpike, that's not a turnpike. Historically, that is a turnpike. It was the route. It was in the early 1800s, built as the route from not Framingham, not Westboro, but from the east to to Connecticut, Hartford. And Hartford was a big colonial city. And so technically it is a turnpike, but it's an historic turnpike. But I don't know what kind of rule or restrictions anybody can make for a problem like this, for this traffic. You can't shut that section of the road off and say you can't drive on this if you're, you know, a trailer truck. You can't.
Didn't
I
they,
don't.
Donna, didn't they have that concern, and I don't mean to shut you off on that,
No, that's okay.
with, when they built Home Depot, way back when we were talking, we had a meeting, I don't know how many years ago, and there was concerns of tractor trailers cutting through Central Turnpike to cut from
Yeah.
146 to 395. And they had to have an agreement with the companies to bypass that
Well,
road.
Yeah, I'm wondering if something like that can be done, but that's not something we can address.
Right,
Uh,
right.
You know, and I'm hoping,
about this then?
I'm
How about-
hoping there is.
How about, can we conduct, and this also falls for Burbank, Wheelock, and Sibley intersect,
Yeah,
gentleman that lives there, is since it's a national historic district in that intersection, can a traffic impact study be done by the federal government as an impact on their property?
no,
I know that, and
I don't think,
Concord-
I don't think so. It's tricky because,
Millbury did conduct a traffic study,
Okay,
okay? The problem with that is higher up on the hill on Burbank Street, there's an over 55 or 60
Yeah.
condominium community that was just put in. And what they did was primarily use the numbers of the people that were living there as to where they were driving. They didn't do much on going south, which would be back into Sutton.
Mhm.
However, our point on the planning board is this whole mill project with the 180 units is studios and one bedroom apartments. These are young adults. They got a whole different lifestyle, working this, that, and whatever, than a group of senior citizens. I mean, so that's like comparing apples to oranges.
well,
mean-
I don't know, a 55-year-old and up community, being in the upper end of that group, I don't know any of them personally in my age group that retired at 60 or 65 or 55. And so they're just as much going to be on the road.
Well,
You know.
30 units, Donna, is a little bit different than 180. Just in the sheer number of people, sheer number of vehicles, a 350 car parking area. I mean, that's comparable to the size of these warehouses that we're talking about with the
No.
3-shift operation.
Isn't that warehouse building 640
40,000 square feet.
square feet?
Yeah.
And
Well,
it ha-
I'm just trying to give you a comparison.
Yeah,
Between this project and Millbury, that number of vehicles is comparable to a very large, industrial site,
especially at that intersection.
especially, down there.
And the intersection, similar to West Sutton, I can't see where the road can be developed without widened, for example.
That was a
to-
point that Nikki Nunemacher brought out at one of our meetings on West Sutton. And they were
Mhm.
looking for the historical district. He says, what are you gonna do when they decide to widen the road? Some people are gonna lose their living rooms. And
No,
I didn't give it a thought, but I took a ride and thought, oh yeah,
no, this is where Mass Historic comes in.
That's
okay.
correct.
They will review it and they'll find a way to mitigate it.
Yeah,
And that won't happen. There's just no way to do that there. There's no way to do that
at this intersection.
at Burbank Road.
Mm.
The road would be a really huge problem to widen that with either of those without making serious impact to significant historic resources. Already the speed drive that people drive on that road
Mhm.
is an issue, but it, so I had that written down for later, so.
Now you covered it.
Okay.
Mhm. That's all I have to say. It's just a conundrum.
Okay. All right, and now that being a national historic district, I assume MHC has some involvement in that or no?
They will, particularly if it's involving any state or federal licensing or approval, like that.
How about this? If I remember correctly, and now I can only give you this on my own experience that I had in another town that ends in a borough north of here. And I had a house that was, the street went to the house originally. House was 1760. Over the course of development of 200 years, the road to the house became a street that connected two perpendicular roads.
Mhm.
And when I went to subdivide my land to sell a lot, they told me I had a non-conforming lot because my house was too close to the road.
Yeah.
So after further investigation and digging up documents of when the road was placed, it
Yeah.
was post my house. So I went to the town and I told them we have a big problem here. And they said, well, we don't think we do. And I said, well, you do. You put your road too close to my house and you need to. And they said, you're ridiculous. And I said, it's just as ridiculous telling me I'm non-conforming when you place the road too close to my house. So my point is this, back to that intersection, if I remember correctly, that Free Grace Marble property was off the settlement plot, set off and apart on its own. And therefore, the road that led to that house was not a road. It was
That's not, oh,
entryway to get to Free Grace Marble's home. At some point, it was created a public way and opened to the road behind it or created a road behind it.
well, that's a good possibility. That's not necessarily true,
May not be, I
Because-
don't know.
because Burbank, I think it's Burbank, would have connected to other settlement lots.
Post 1730 though, Donna.
Yeah.
Post,
After
and
1730.
so the Free Grace Marble home is 1730. So
Yeah.
therefore, that would have been the last property on that right of way access. So here's my point, is at some point, if people are saying that, this needs to be done, well, then no improvements should be placed on that intersection because it was already created an issued intersection.
I don't I don't know, I understand your logic,
Yeah.
but I don't know how it would hold up. That's
won.
all I have
I
to say.
subdivided my lot, by the way, and got a free septic system, but go ahead.
Well, that's good, but
Yeah,
it's still a non-conforming lot.
maybe, but
But
they made it non-conforming, not the homeowner.
that's likely true for a lot of lots.
Just an angle. You never know. The
It's,
gentleman down there may have an angle.
it's a definition to go on, to go in to the bylaws to work into when you're trying to make up a new bylaw, of which there are a ton of that at town meeting this year that we should look at,
Okay,
just for the education.
all right.
Yeah, we had a 4-hour meeting last night,
Oh,
of which three and a half were spent on the town bylaw, the proposed town bylaws. The reason there's so many is that we did not have a town meeting. Typically, we discuss the bylaws in the October meeting. Because of the COVID, there was a town meeting in October, and it took care of what I would call the bare essentials, certain financials that had to be done. And it was like an 11-minute meeting, nothing bylaws or anything else, just basic, the bare essentials were taken care of that had to be done legally within a certain time frame. So that's why there are all these bylaws on the town meeting.
okay. Is this intersection at Burbank, Wheelock, and Sibley coming up for any kind of discussion, or is this was this someone that brought this to a public forum?
It was part of the discussion in Millbury.
The discussion.
Jen sent a letter to them, and it was part of one of their discussions. Right when they were first starting the development,
Okay.
or thinking about the
We've sent
development.
several letters to them, and this is over, I'd say, a 2 or 3 month period. So this just didn't come in out of the blue. They had told us about this, I'd say, approximately 3 months ago. And we had discussed it several times, and we sent a letter summarizing our views on this and hoping to cooperate. And, from one town to the next, and they decided to do what they're going to do.
Okay.
Without any mitigation for that intersection. It's Sutton's problem. They're thinking
Yeah,
about.
you're right. Rochelle, you have a question?
Yeah, that mill project where you're talking about housing, which mill is it? Is it the one across from?
Bremenville.
Okay, all right, Burbank and.
They used to be a
It's the
big
old
huge
factory.
old white, but there used to be a big huge white old house behind that mill. So it's that property and part of the mill property that they're.
Okay.
I think it's too much myself, but it's
The steel
a
craft
lot
was
of
in there
traffic.
last time. In that building, steel craft.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I heard, I know someone who lives not far from there, that there will probably be lights at that Burbank, North Main, where you come down Burbank Hill
Yep,
and
yep.
go out onto they'll install lights.
You gonna put a light there at the store?
A
Yeah.
light, yeah. That's what I heard, that they're thinking they're gonna have to do. Which will back traffic up into Sutton Center, because it's just, I don't know.
Okay, well, I mean, my comment on
Put
that,
another rotary there?
my comment is if they're putting in a light, they're expecting traffic flow issues.
Yeah.
Think
Well,
about it as lights. usually there's a traffic flow issue.
Yeah, and there's been accidents at that, out in front of the hotel.
Mhm.
A lot of accidents, fatalities even.
All right.
So,
Thank you, Wally, for bringing that up, and Donna expanding on that. Any other comments? Okay, any other open discussion? Okay, let me just get to this. Bear with me. I did receive a correspondence in regards to, and I won't read it in its entirety. And you may already know, thanks to our official correspondence transporter, Wally Baker, he picked this up and delivered it to my house for me. Since I can't go to the town hall during work hours, since I work out of town. Basically, in a nutshell, Mass DOT is proposing to replace Bridge S33004. And it carries, I'm sorry, Depot Street over the Blackstone River to the town of Sutton. I thought it was Blackstone Street Bridge, my mistake. It's the Depot Street Bridge over the Blackstone.
Oh, great.
Yeah, my mistake. So I had read this incorrectly. I thought it was, they were redoing the Blackstone Street Bridge after they just replaced the whole thing. I was like, anyway, it says the existing bridge is insufficient capacity to carry all legal Massachusetts vehicle loads. The proposed project will be replace the existing bridge with a new bridge structure that complies with DOT's healthy transportation policy with pedestrian and bicycle access. And it goes on to say if we have any comments on that, which we probably should discuss at least in the future. But it's anticipated that this work will begin in the 2023 construction period. So, well, I'm glad I read that again, because I really thought it was the other bridge.
well,
Where is that bridge?
That's the one on Depot Street. Take a left after KP's, go down, and then you bear right.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
right.
All right, okay. I
Heads
gotcha.
up the aerial drive.
That makes me think of the
Wilkes.
what I sent to you on the bridge over by the one, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly. I read that. I didn't share that with we just basically read that.
Yep. It was all I could find over there that had, but Mass Historic Commission and Mass DOT had they rub each other the wrong way.
Well, we learned our lesson with the Blackstone Street Bridge when they just need to get to the edge of the water, and the best way was through the canal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that,
So I don't know. I've only a couple times been over that bridge. I assume that where it is, it's not a big
no, it's
problem
not
to
like the other
replace it.
side they did.
Yeah.
Well, I'm over it several times a week. I can understand their safety concerns because polyvinyl has 18 wheelers running in and out of there daily, numerous ones. I mean, they're putting out so much material. They'll have 4 or 5 railroad tank type cars on a siding.
Yeah.
Taking out their raw materials to make their plastics, and they're constantly, well, just 2 days ago, there was 1 or 2 trucks up there. There was another one on Depot Street because there was no place for them to go until one of these other trucks got out of there. The whole road is rutted from Boston Road down to the bridge. I mean, it's just a patchwork of patch.
Yeah.
The only the real historical structure there is the remnants of the original Wilkinsonville Wilkinson.
which is still there on.
Oh, that's still there. That's on this side of the river. And then as soon as you get over the river, if you take a right, within 100 feet, you're in Grafton.
Yeah,
You take a left and you're up on Blackstone Street, and that's where the polyvinyl facility is. And they seem to be doing quite well. Their parking lot is full every day, and it's something that probably needs to be done. I can understand the structural issues with it. Just I don't know how old it is, but there's a lot of traffic on that bridge.
Yeah. So why don't we do this? I think it's going to be a similar review that we did for the Blackstone Street Bridge. I obviously there'll be a different historical impact because adjacent or on the south side of that bridge, southeast side, depends how you're looking, is the old mill.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So why don't we do this? Keep that in mind. Dig up some more your own research, and then our next meeting we can discuss it, and then I can contact the powers to be, since it's a project planned 2 years away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You guys in agreement?
Mhm.
yes.
makes sense.
Okay, and again, it's almost like a carbon copy of the Blackstone Street Bridge, saying that they're gonna close the entire road during construction, removal of the existing bridge and construction of a new bridge. Riprap will be installed within the water control limits on both the east and west sides. So, we gotta just maybe do a drive-by and familiarize yourself with that area. All right. Any other comment on that? Great. I didn't mean to. We're almost at a 4-hour marathon planning board meeting here tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, next. So that was really old business, just so you know. Let me make sure I put an arrow to that. Any new business? Okay, none. And I have a few announcements. Last meeting I mentioned the let's see if I can find it here. CMRPC.
Central Mass Regional Planning.
Thank you. I get their like, I guess you call it their newsletter, 2021 March newsletter. It's very informative, and they discuss in the opening article is that they had 34 million in community development block grants to 41 communities, including, and these are ones near us, Millbury, with Dudley, Northbridge, Webster, and other towns received over 4 million in grants for a total of 34 million. We should probably log into this website and just familiarize ourselves with some of this information.
It would be Jen who would handle any of the block grants with
I
Central Mass.
understand, but at least we can understand what's out there with
Yeah,
the historic grant. I don't know. I mean, I'm reading through. It's pretty cool. They're doing 3D interactive planning models. Maybe we can jump on a historic aspect of that,
they've been hosting the I think there's 3 towns involved in the 146 project. They do a real good job.
I'm the delegate from the planning board to the Central Mass Regional Planning.
Oh, well, that would be you then.
Well, I'm not familiar with all the grants, but they basically, towns the size of Sutton do not have the in-house expertise. And if they do, the person would not have the time to get into the detail of whatever it is, like traffic was mentioned earlier. You need people that really understand traffic and how that works and so forth and so on. I'm just using that as an example. You need people that understand drones. If you want to fly over certain areas and see what's really there and how it is and match it up with this type of thing. They have those people on staff, and you're allocated So as an example, for every meeting I go to on the regular meetings, we get an hour's worth of support from them. We get other support too, but unfortunately, as Don has pointed out, the 3-town meeting, and by the way, there's another one on this Thursday night. And it is, we have the 3 towns, so Sutton, Douglas, and Uxbridge. And we chose, unfortunately, we have Trish, who's the associate director of the CMRP, to actually run the meeting. That way it keeps it above the 3 communities. You know, we have a neutral observer, A. B, we have someone that understands planning and what you have to do in the you know, all the specifics involved with it that need to be done, and a very knowledgeable person. Because we can get 3 communities together, and also by all our experts that we've picked, you know, whether it's traffic, environmental, architectural, and all these things, all 3 communities came, and we selected one. So we didn't have, say, Sutton was this person and Uxbridge has somebody else on the same topic. You know, that way we just, you know, trying to get things done appropriately, we'll say. So they have a lot of tools, and they're looking for, you know, I found them to be very good. I've been working with them now for probably 3 or 4 years, only because nobody else on the planning board wants to do this.
Oh,
But I think it's interesting, you know, and for example, you know, future build outs, you know, population type of thing, age of the population, you know, there's a wide variety of topics here that they are knowledgeable about, and we'll get into and give assistance to the community that we wouldn't get otherwise.
excellent. I agree. I read that. I thought it's something to at least familiarize yourself with, and so that we can work
Mhm.
in conjunction with other boards or whatever that may use that as a tool. Okay, how about, I also have Mass History Alliance. Last meeting, I mentioned that they have a meeting coming up on June 7th, the conference on the Commons. Classes on the Commons. Anyway, you may want to check on their website as well, Mass History Alliance. It's, let's see, the email is alliance with 2 L's at masshistoryalliance.org. And again, you know, they're talking about funding opportunities, history of Massachusetts community activity, upcoming events. Nice little, it's an easy read. So you may want to check on that one again, Mass History Alliance. I need to add that to my minutes. Okay, then the last one is, well, it's 7:08, so you literally have like 31 hours to submit. Nominate a candidate for the Bay State Legacy Award. I got this a little late, but basically, do you know someone who's made a long-term outstanding contribution to local and public history in Mass? Yada, yada, yada. They give out, they're gonna give out, the Mass History Alliance carries the BSHL's Legacy of Service in recognition with the Bay State Legacy Award in 2020. We were interrupted, so they're still taking applications for 2020. Go online at Mass History Alliance, I'm sorry, Alliance at masshistoryalliance.org, and you can nominate your friends and neighbors. All right. You add that. Okay. Anything else from anyone else that has any announcements or correspondence? Wow. Okay, before we do anything else, what do you think, Chris?
I love it.
You're a good listener, I'll give you that.
I need to be. I know when to listen.
Okay, so with that said, there's no other business that I know of. And is there anyone that would like to make a motion on any adjournment?
Keith?
Oh,
It's your
Yes.
non-member. Are you guys gonna think about setting another date for next month?
so my problem is, sometimes I don't know which Tuesday I can do until the beginning of the month.
Okay, so what I'm gonna say is when you're planning that and evaluating your Tuesdays, if you could not do it on the 27th, that would be.
Okay, this is
ideal,
good.
'cause We already have 2 meetings scheduled that night, so a third makes it a little dicey in this world of Zoom.
And the 19th, so the 20th would be the one before that. I think that's the third one, correct? Third Tuesday,
Correct.
20.
Done.
Let me just check my thing right here, real quick.
You don't have to decide tonight. I just wanted to say that the 27th would be kind of hairy.
Okay, so let's shoot for the 20th tentatively, okay? I think I can probably do that.
Okay, I mean, you guys can change it. I just wanted to say the 27th was kind of,
You got it. You're in charge.
thanks.
Okay, so with that said, was there a motion?
So moved.
I don't know if anyone made one. Rochelle, did you make a motion? You raised your hand.
I'll second, we can adjourn at this stage of the game, yes, no?
Okay, so we'll say Rochelle made it and Wally seconded. Now, you can't just say it all together. I have to ask individually. This time I'll start in the bottom. I will say Chris, yes or no to motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Donna, yes or no, motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Wally, you made the motion, so.
Yes.
Rochelle,
Yes.
and I agree. All 5 members agreed to adjourn at 7:11 PM was the end. And till next time, my friends. Thank you.
Safe.
Good
Yeah.
night.
Thanks, everybody.
Night.
Have a good night.
Yeah.